Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the Nation right here. Jeff Waldorf. Great show today, guys. We're going to have a fantastic show. We are going to talk about, of course, it's September 11th, so obviously we're going to have to talk about that. Got a couple of related stories, including what Donald Trump said on 9/11, the actual 9/11. Fascinating. We also have the costs of going to war, according to the Pentagon, and then, of course, the real numbers that are not reported by the Pentagon on how much we have went to war, thanks to, of course, what happened in 9/11 and our response to it during the Bush administration. Speaking of George W. Bush, do you know he's now a liberal? At least that's according to Fox host Lou Dobbs. I've got a story on that. You're going to find that very, very interesting. Looking forward to that story. It's probably one of my favorite stories of the day. We also have Gary Cohn being quoted in Bob Woodward's book. What does he think about Donald Trump? Fun. So we'll have that today. And then, of course, we have a story from yesterday, or at least about Amber Geiger and what she did, and who she is blaming the shooting on. The shooting that she actually did of a unarmed black man in his own house. So, fun. I told you, a little bit of a heavy show since it is, of course, I mean, the news is usually pretty heavy, but it's a little heavier today. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. Also, hopefully my sound is good. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear, because I'm never sure with these audio levels. Okay. Anyway, what I want to do, and we're doing a we're doing a subscriber drive, and so basically we're trying to get this this channel to 100,000 subscribers. We are now at 87,269, so that's fairly significant. I'd like to get to 87,300 by the end of the show. So, and what I want to do after we get done with the stories is I'll take some questions. So I'll take some audience questions. So, you know, come up with them or send them on Twitter, ATN on TYT. That's our Twitter account. Or, you know, also maybe give you my opinion on some of the stories that you guys want to send me as well. It's like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Get Your News On with Ron. Ron Cohn does that over there. People basically send him stories, and he's like, on the fly, and he's like, okay, here's my opinion. Here's what I think about that. Think about doing that at the end of the show. So, you know, gather some stories, and we'll do that for a good maybe 10, 20 minutes. Or however long. So that's going to be fun. And look, again, want to get to 100,000 before the end of the year, as soon as possible, as soon as I can get there, obviously, but I'm aiming for the end of the year. So subscriber drive. And thank you to all those new subscribers who have helped out. Geez, we'll have to do a Patreon drive as well. That's patreon.com/TYTNation. That's how you can support the show. YouTube revenue, terrible. Views, terrible. I don't know if YouTube is messing around with the algorithm again when it comes to views, but we've been getting our ass kicked all month, all September. So not good for the show. That's why I want to go to a Patreon-supported model, because unfortunately, with YouTube being basically a revenue roller coaster, some months are okay, other months are terrible. Can't really build a show on that. So I need you guys. So patreon.com/TYTNation. And we'll do that Patreon drive hopefully when we hit 100,000. So, and hopefully that's soon. All right, guys. Let's get in to some of the stories. And we'll start out with some fun. So today is 9/11. So it's been about 17 years since the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York. And President Trump last year tweeted about the haters and the losers. And of course, he got dragged by the internet for it. So this year, Donald Trump kept it a little bit more simple. He marked the anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks with a very short tweet. He simply said, 17 years since September 11th, with an exclamation mark. Okay. Well then. So that, of course, got widespread scorn and condemnation from the internet community. And I want to read some tweets for you because they're awesome. Now, of course, some are just like, yeah, thanks. That's pretty obvious. In fact, Dusty tweets, thanks. We're where? Oh, God, was it September 11th? I had no idea. Thank you, Donald Trump, for pointing that out. Drew Magary tweets, folks, you look at the numbers and they just keep getting bigger. Many good numbers. That's fun. Michelle Spice says, there's a September 11th every year, idiots. Still I Rise says, wow, you can count. Amazing. James Felton says, a lot of presidents would use this day to honor the dead rather than prove that they have the ability to count. Awesome. TC is probably my favorite tweet. He says, him do good math. Ooh, 17. Him do good math. And then Jennifer Hayden tweets in, the sentiment, the eloquence. So those are the fun ones. Then they get a little bit serious. In fact, Dross tweets in, dude, why? What's the purpose of this tweet? Don't you have anything more meaningful to say? Well, as you're going to see, he actually doesn't. Nico HS tweets in, ending with the exclamation mark, no condolences to those who've had to live with the suffering of damage or loss throughout these 17 years. It just seems wrong. And of course, finally, I'm going to show you what he actually was doing during 9/11. But first, this tweet, D-Min, 17 years when you called into WOR radio and bragged that since the World Trade Centers had fallen, you now had the tallest building in the city. What a depraved, corrupt man you are. And in case you think, oh no, fake news, he didn't actually say that, I've got that recording. I've got that call. Let's take a look.
You have one of the landmark buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did you know what's happened down there?
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
Now it's the tallest. Oh, hey man, the building fell down, but hey, at least my building is the tallest again. That right there, that's Donald Trump in a nutshell, man. Over 3,000 people die in this attack, innocent people. And then, of course, if you count all the people that died afterwards as a result of the wars and things like that, well, that gets into the millions. And yet, all President Trump could think of when it happened is, I've got the biggest tower again. I got the biggest building. Child. Terrible person. Terrible person. In fact, to get to another tweet here, Robin Ash says, yes, 17 years ago, people were dying at this very moment. Your response, now my building is the tallest. 17 years later, you are still the smallest man on earth. Truer words have never been spoken. Okay. All right. Well, let's go on to the cost of war. Okay. So there's another report out from the Defense Department that shows how much we've spent on the current wars in the Middle East since 9/11, since 2001. Now, again, this started with the Bush era, where we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq, and then, of course, now includes Syria as well. Now, these conflicts, I should say, were carried over from the Obama administration and now continue into the Trump administration. At least Afghanistan does. According to that report, the collective wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria have cost taxpayers more than $1.5 trillion since September 11th of 2001. So that's the official Defense Department Pentagon number. $1.5 trillion. Think about that. That's $1.5 trillion that could have went to your healthcare. That could have went to your kid's school. That could have went to infrastructure. Like, for example, Flint, right? To replace all the water pipes. That could have went to all that. Could have went to free college. It could have went to fixing some of the terrible roads that you might drive on. That's money that they took out of your pocket and spent on bombing brown people. And speaking of bombing brown people, not just the monetary cost here, which I'm going to basically point out later on how that's incorrect. You also have, according to an independent survey from ORB, over 1.2 million innocent people died in Iraq. That's just Iraq by itself. Not to mention Afghanistan, which is in the hundreds of thousands, in Syria. And that doesn't even cover our service members who also died in these insane wars. Insane wars. According to the report, they say that the money went toward training, equipment, maintenance, as well as food, clothing, medical services, and pay for troops. Really. Look, in reality, again, that's what the Pentagon wants to say. Oh, no, we're doing great budgeting of our money. In fact, we need you to increase our budget even more so we can do more. Because we don't have enough money yet. Over $700 billion, we don't quite have enough. We need more from Congress. Look, here's where that money went. Defense contractors. You know the soldiers, right? It says, oh, no, pay for the troops, right? You know how much an E1 makes in the Army? About $19,000 a year. That is not very much money. That is poverty level. Not only that, but again, look at our Pentagon budget. $700 billion every year. And yet, according to a 2016 report from the Government Accountability Office, about 23,000 active duty troops had to use food stamps in the year 2013. That's the Obama administration. The most recent year that such data was available, because again, the Pentagon does not like to make this data available to people. Gee, I wonder why. Because it would show that they are grossly mismanaging the billions of dollars, the hundreds of billions of dollars we send them every year from our paychecks. That comes out of my, our paychecks. It goes right into that, right into the Pentagon, and then right into the defense contractors, the defense industry's pockets. It goes to buy the CEO another yacht while they make weapons to bomb innocent brown people overseas. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. There's more. Of about 750,000 food stamp transactions, or almost $80 million in purchases, were completed at military commissaries in 2015, the latest year for which data is currently available. So you have food stamps and other, benefits, welfare benefits, going to our troops because for some reason the Pentagon cannot afford to pay our troops better. With the biggest budget on Earth, the biggest military budget on Earth, we still can't afford to pay troops above poverty level? Come on, man. Nobody's buying that. Again, that money does not go to the troops. It goes to the weapons manufacturers that get rich off endless war. Endless war. And look, that 1.5 trillion, as I said, that is the official number from the Pentagon, But let me give you the real number. According to a report published last year, that's November 8th of 2017, the U.S. wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and Pakistan. Oh, see, they didn't even involve Pakistan, right? Have cost American taxpayers $5.6 trillion since 2001. That is a figure that is more than 3 times that of the Pentagon's own estimates of the war. That study by the Watson Institute of International and Public Affairs at Brown University basically aims to reflect costs that the Pentagon does not include in its own calculations, since war costs aren't borne by the Defense Department alone. So, now, let me see. The study's estimates include recurring expenses such as long-term medical care for veterans and war costs incurred by the State Department. Costs also reflect related spending by the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and others. And that study, $5.6 trillion, that doesn't even involve other things. It doesn't include U.S. operations such as assistance to the Philippines in the fight against the Islamic State or other countries in Africa and Europe. So that $5.6 trillion that we spend on war, that doesn't even cover everything. We are spending trillions upon trillions of dollars in endless conflict, endless war. Imagine what we could have done with that money over the last 17 years. We could have made sure that kids growing up, when that happened, that are now college aged, when that happened, when we invaded Iraq, that are near college age, could actually afford to go to school because college would be paid for. It could be free. They would have health care. Everybody would have health care. We could pay for that. Instead, no, it went to go enriching, it went to enrich the CEO's pockets that sell the weapons. That's what it went to, not to us. And it went to bombing people. It's gross. This is gross. This is gross. Look, Iraq. The Iraq war was unnecessary. Afghanistan, largely unnecessary, right? Now, look, that doesn't mean we shouldn't have gone after Osama bin Laden. I'm not saying that. But you could do special forces to capture Osama bin Laden and bring him to justice. Instead, 17 years later, we're still there. We're still in Afghanistan. In fact, people are still dying in Afghanistan. A U.S. service member was killed and another wounded on Monday in what was called an apparent insider attack in eastern Afghanistan, according to a statement from Resolute Support, the NATO-led coalition in Afghanistan. And on Wednesday, 20 people were killed in twin bomb attacks in Kabul. ISIS claimed responsibility for that attack. ISIS, we're still talking about ISIS, right? I thought Donald Trump was supposed to knock the crap out of ISIS. What happened? What happened? Turns out, indiscriminate, endless bombing does not actually work. You can't win a war on terror. It had no end goal. There is no end goal to the war on terror because you'll never defeat terror. It's just another excuse for endless war and for the defense contractors' endless profit. That's what that's about. We still have 14,000 Americans in Afghanistan. Why? Why are they there? Why are they not home? We're wasting money. We are wasting lives. Now, there is some rare good news here. Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis told reporters traveling with him that he was hopeful peace talks with the Taliban would signal an end to America's longest war. He said, right now, we have more indications that reconciliation is no longer just a shimmer out there, no longer just a mirage. It now has some framework. There's some open lines of communication. Well, if we can actually end the war in Afghanistan and get the hell out of there, good. It is long past time to end the war. Let's bring our people home and let's take care of America. Let's take care of our own troops. Okay. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take another break. We'll come back. We'll switch gears, do the Gary Cohn story, which I think you'll find very fun. And then we'll continue on. So stay right here. We got more coming at you. So if you haven't already, please like and share. Consider sending a super chat. If not, send us a tweet, ATN on TYT. And we will see you after the break. Around the nation. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation, Jeff Waldorf here. Okay, so I don't have any tweets for you guys, but hey, like, send in your stories, man, or your questions. So, I mean, you know, I want to have some questions to answer when we end the show. So, please do that. As far as subscribers go, I'm gonna get an account for the subscriber drive. 87,274. Awesome. Thank you guys. Still looking to hit 87,300. Believe me, I'm going to be doing this every day until we get to 100,000. So you're going to get sick of it. So it's just better off to just subscribe now already and shut me up. So I can actually do news. Okay. Anyway, speaking of news, let's go to Gary Cohn. So this is a fun story. Let me see here. So Gary Cohn is the former economic advisor for the Trump administration. Now, he, of course, resigned over the issue of free trade. But he's still very much in line with the Trump economic agenda, at least according to him. Now, that economic agenda wasn't exactly Donald Trump's. And that's, of course, according to an excerpt from Bob Woodward's new book, Fear in the White House. Now, in that book, he came away, apparently, from his first meeting with Donald Trump, astounded at how dumb the president actually was. During a chat about various economic issues, Cohn told Trump that the Federal Reserve would likely increase rates during its first term in office, to which Trump reportedly responded, quote, "We should just go borrow a lot of money, hold it, and then sell it to make money." Wait. So he wants to borrow a lot of money from ourselves, hold on to it for a while, and then sell it to somebody to make more money. That doesn't make any sense. Now, that's what he did in private business. But the government does not run like a private business. He is too stupid to know that. But, of course, to be fair, there are a lot of Republicans who are also too stupid to know that. But anyway, Donald Trump, of course, is the king of debt and a very stable genius, so maybe it's me that just doesn't get it. Not likely. Now, the suggestion and the lack of basic understanding about how federal deficit and debt works apparently concerned Cohn, and he had attempted to step in and educate Trump on this issue. So he tried to explain it, like, okay, Donnie, this is how it works, all right? To which the president basically said, quote, "Why don't we just run the presses? Print money. Let's print lots and lots of money so that we can go and we can borrow a lot of money that we print, hold on to it, and again, try to sell it to somebody," which again makes no sense. It's no sense. Cohn suggested that this would be detrimental to the fiscal and economic health of the United States, since printing vast amounts of money is thought to lead to inflation. Now, we are nowhere near inflation. In fact, we're kind of the other way, and maybe we could use some stimulus, or a lot of stimulus. But that's not the direction that we're going. Cohn also pointed to the federal debt ceiling, a statutory limit on the amount of debt the federal government can have outstanding. Now, that is a bit of a problem. Now, look, personally, I believe in MMT, modern monetary theory, which basically says we can print money to do things. We can do infrastructure. We can finance the transition to a single-payer healthcare system. We can pay for free college because we still have the actual real-life resources to be able to do it, and we have low inflation. This would be the perfect time to get money and then use that money to invest in the country. That's not the president was talking about. That's not what the president was doing. He thought that, no, we could use this, we could borrow money from ourselves to go and pay off our own national debt, which makes no sense. He's monumentally stupid. Now, Woodward wrote, it was clear that Trump did not understand the way the U.S. government debt cycle balance sheet actually worked. But, well, Trump not knowing something, Trump being dumb? No, everybody knows Trump's dumb. Everybody knows he's an idiot. In fact, among the many quotes from Woodward's book, and we've heard these from other places as well, is when his first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, called him a moron. Jim Mattis, according to Woodward, also told close associates that the president, quote, had the understanding of a 5th or 6th grader. Scott Pruitt essentially called him an imbecile when it comes to things like the Constitution and rule of law. And former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Katie Walsh reportedly said working with Trump was like trying to figure out what a child wants. All these things have a theme, that our president is a child and not a very smart person, not a very stable genius, which actually seems like an insult to children, because at least children have the capacity to learn. Donald Trump does not seem to have the capacity nor the willingness to learn. And someone purporting to represent the views of Gary Cohn sent an email in April of 2017 describing the president as, quote, an idiot surrounded by clowns. Now, of course, today, Gary Cohn pushes back a little bit. He's like, oh, no, that's not quite accurate. In fact, he said, according to Jonathan Swan, writing for Axios, quote, this book does not accurately portray my experience at the White House. I am proud of my service in the Trump administration, and I continue to support the president and his economic agenda. Now, what is that economic agenda? Tax cuts and deregulation. Notice how they're not printing a whole bunch of money and then using it to pay off the national debt, which is what Donald Trump wanted to do. They're not doing that because there are adults in the room that are saying, no, that would be disastrous. Of course, those same adults, let's be clear, are going, oh, tax cuts for the rich? I jump in it. In fact, there is a new $2.4 trillion tax cut bill that has just been unveiled by congressional Republicans. Oh, here we go again. Are those same adults so-called adults, gonna speak out against that? Probably not. Now, Cohn, however, has cited no specific objection to Woodward's extensive reporting of his private views that Trump needed to be saved from his most dangerous impulses. We're told the book is based on hundreds of hours of interviews, most of which were taped with the consent of the source. So, the vast majority, according to Axios, of the scenes involving Cohn reflect reporting that Axios has done over the course of the Trump presidency. And Woodward, in a statement to Axios, says, quote, I continue to stand by my reporting. Bob Woodward has a lot of credibility for his reporting on Watergate. Now, he is, of course, part of the establishment. Nonetheless, I actually think this reporting is legit, especially considering that White House op-ed from someone highly placed within the Trump administration, within that inner circle, saying, no, look, we're the adults in the room. We're trying to save them from doing the worst things, like the absolute worst things. And there was even the report that Rex Tillerson had actually intervened to avoid going to a war. That's what's happening. Saving the country from Trump's worst impulses. I believe it. I believe it. Now let's have some more fun. Now, according to this book, Cohn was offered 5 different jobs before he settled on being Trump's economic advisor. You'll love this. So what were the jobs? Deputy Secretary of Defense. But Cohn is a Goldman Sachs banker. What does he know about defense? Trump's like, oh, you're strong. I want you to be in my defense department, the deputy secretary. And Cohn, he's like, no, I don't want to be deputy secretary of anything. Okay, so what was the next job? It gets even crazier. Director of National Intelligence. Okay, you don't want to be Secretary of Defense? Okay, you could be my Director of National Intelligence. Because we're smart people. I'm extremely smart, and I like smart people, and you're smart, Gary. But Cohn had no idea what the job actually entailed. Woodward writes, a job running U.S. intelligence agencies wasn't well suited to a career banker. And so Cohn, he's like, I don't want to be the Director of National Intelligence. I don't even know what the job entails. Of course I'm not going to take it. Oh, if only Rick Perry, the Energy Secretary, had actually thought about it and goes and went, maybe I shouldn't be the head of the the Department of Energy. He couldn't even remember that was one of the agencies that he wanted to get rid of. Oh, oops. Anyway, speaking of Energy Secretary, that's another job that Trump had reportedly offered Cohn. Trump's rationale for offering the job is that Cohn trades commodities. And simply Cohn was just not interested. Another job, Director of the Office of Management and Budget. Woodward writes, Cohn knew it was a horrible job. He said no. And of course, Mick Mulvaney is currently in that position. But here's the best one. Trump apparently offered Cohn the Treasury Secretary spot. That is after he had picked Mnuchin originally to run that. In fact, Woodward writes that sitting in front of Steve Mnuchin, Trump's chief campaign fundraiser, who had already been offered the Treasury Secretary post, the president-elect reportedly said, you know what? I hired the wrong guy for Treasury Secretary. You should be Treasury Secretary. You would be the best Treasury Secretary. He's saying, oh, Mnuchin, why did I hire this idiot, Mnuchin? No. Gary Cohn, you would be perfect for Treasury Secretary. You would be the best. That's why Mnuchin is sitting right there. And he has no awareness. Or he doesn't care. He's trashing Mnuchin basically to his face. And Mnuchin, all he could do was to sit silent. But wait, Mnuchin gets his revenge. Trump reportedly told Cohn to come back and tell me what you want. 5 minutes later, Cohn was still in the building when he saw on television the news that Mnuchin would be Treasury Secretary. What happened? It turns out Mnuchin was so freaked out about what he had just seen that he found the closest reporter. He's like, I'm Treasury Secretary. I'm the Treasury Secretary, okay? Get it out to the press. Get it out. Tell everyone I'm the Treasury Secretary. Insanity. Mnuchin leaked it because he was afraid that Gary Cohn was going to take his job. In fact, Jared Kushner said to Trump, quote, that's crazy. Mnuchin just put that out. You freaked him out so badly in the meeting. That is an amazing story. That is amazing. And after Mnuchin apparently linked that to the press, that, no, I'm going to be Treasury Secretary. Trump, he just went with it. He's like, oh, okay, I guess he's Treasury Secretary now. I mean, the news is saying it's a television. Look, it's on the TV. TV must be right. In no other job, in no other White House would this ever happen. Could somebody just leak a job to the press and then end up getting that job? Because again, he was looking at Gary Cohn. Gary didn't even give his answer. Didn't even have a chance to think about it before Mnuchin ran to the press. That's what happened in the Trump White House. He's an idiot. He doesn't care. He doesn't even know what the hell's going on half the time. That's why Gary Cohn could steal stuff off his desk, and he wouldn't even notice. Holy shit, man. This is the Donald Trump White House. These are the people that are running the country right now. Iceberg. Well, we did say it. And iceberg is here. No words. There are no words to this. Insanity. Okay. Wow. Moving on. We got more sanity. Insanity, I should say. Okay. Wow. Among the insanity of the Bob Woodward book, as well as just the normal kinds of crazy that is going on in Trump world, a lot of people miss this story. Apparently, Lou Dobbs believes that George W. Bush is not a conservative, but he's a liberal. What? Let me give you the details here. Now, Fox Business host Lou Dobbs had called former Republican President George W. Bush a liberal on his show last Thursday. In fact, here's that clip. I'm going to show that to you. Watch the insanity. Drink it in.
Now, what's interesting about that includes all of the Obama administration, a radical left-winger, and a good part of the Bush administration, a radical, what would you call him, liberal himself? He wasn't a conservative, but they were
grew government in a big way.
Free traders, weren't they?
Liberal. I mean, what would you call him? I'd call him a liberal. What? What? No. And first of all, Obama was not a radical leftist. He's not a radical left-winger. He is a centrist. Even on some things, I would argue that he is center-right. Definitely not a left-wing liberal. And Bush being a liberal, insanity, man. As far as being a conservative, well, let me tell you who isn't a conservative. Donald Trump. He's not a conservative. He has no ideology. He ran as a Republican, yes. But his basic inclination is not, I'm going to run this country on conservative principles. No. His inclination is, how do I help Donald Trump? That's all I'm interested in. How do I help my business? How do I help myself get rich? That's what Donald Trump is interested in. Understand. But of course, Dobbs, look, Dobbs, he is a disgusting sycophant. And he runs segment after segment, basically kissing Trump's ass. Now, later on, by the way, in this segment, he continues.
What were Obama and Bush, what was the big similarity? It was size of government,
both, in my
regulation.
Opinion, disasters as
both big creators of regulation. President Trump has completely stopped that trend.
You blinked when I said that Bush was a liberal, not a conservative.
He's certainly a guy who grew government a lot. He grew regulation
and
a lot.
debt a lot, and went and attacked the wrong countries. I mean, by the time you get through with that administration, you wonder what the hell we've been going through for the past 30 years. We've had 3 of the worst presidents. And by the way, the best of the 3, in my judgment, was Clinton, because at least the economy performed. And then you've got Bush, and then you've got Obama. If we don't have Trump, this country would be an utter disaster.
Utter disaster. Wow. Now he's talking about, oh my God, Obama, growing government. Terrible. What a disaster. But wait a minute. You know who else is growing government? Donald Trump. I mean, Space Force? We have a freaking Space Force. That's going to cost money. Guess what? That is growing the government. Increased military spending, same thing, right? Billions of dollars in aid to farmers. That is a subsidy. That is welfare going to farmers. That's also an increase in government. Hiring more Border Patrol agents. Government. Building the wall. Who's going to build the wall? Who's going to fund building the wall? It ain't Mexico. That's government. That's a growth of government spending. I thought you were against that, Lou Dobbs. No. Here's the thing, right? Donald Trump did almost exactly what George W. Bush did. Cut taxes for the rich, deregulated industry, and increased spending on the military. Now, look, George W. Bush, at the time, crazy, right? Because he did things that were unimaginable. Donald Trump has taken that legacy and has actually increased the level of deregulation. For example, now, if you want a new piece of legislation or regulation, you have to eliminate 2 others. That's insanity. That's absolute insanity. George W. Bush didn't do that, right? George W. Bush was, again, he was a right-winger. He is a neoconservative. Donald Trump has no ideology except, how do I help myself? And, of course, he empowers fringe right-wingers, people that are in the crazy end of the spectrum, and white nationalists. That's who Donald Trump caters to. That's who Donald Trump, I guess that's his base. Nowhere near as crazy. Like, George W. Bush has a lot of problems. He's a war criminal. But he is not quite as insane as Donald Trump. At least he had a limit. But here's the thing. If you want to point out that George W. Bush did grow government spending with Medicare Part D, and 2 unfunded wars actually created ICE and Homeland Security, well, those are facts. Those are indisputable, right? You want to point those out, perfectly fine. I'll do that all day. But there is this myth, and this is the problem, and this is what they're talking about, that when Republicans get into office, well, that's when America starts being fiscally responsible. Well, that's just, it's not true. It's fiction. It's not at all grounded in reality. And the only president in my lifetime to have ever at least gotten close to balancing a budget is Bill Clinton. But Bill Clinton has problems. He did deregulation of the telecommunications industry, deregulation of the banks, and welfare reform that disproportionately hurt African-American families. Of course, those are things that you love, right? If you're a Trump supporter, if you're Lou Dobbs, that's why you think, well, Bill Clinton wasn't so bad. I mean, he's my favorite out of the 3. And, you know, there's a lot of things I didn't like, but at least he had a good economy. Because he deregulated, and then we paid for it later. Look, here's the thing. President Obama actually brought down the deficit. Now, he did so with, of course, austerity, with cuts. Donald Trump increased it to near $1 trillion by cutting taxes, giving more money to the rich, giving more money to the Pentagon, and they're about to do more. They want another round of tax cuts. This time, it would cost $2.4 trillion over 10 years. That would cut the budget to the bone. No. It's what they always do. Look, these people, they're not conservative, but they ain't liberal either. Lou Dobbs, I mean, here's the thing. Everybody is to the far left if you're an extreme right-winger like Lou Dobbs. And to give you one more example of his insanity, Dobbs once also accused George W. Bush of fulfilling his father's, quote, agenda of a new world order. George W. Bush is a neocon and he's a war criminal. Donald Rumsfeld is a war criminal. Dick Cheney is a war criminal. These are neoconservatives. These people are not lefties by any stretch of the imagination. And they're certainly not a member of this fictional New World Order that sounds like it came exactly from Alex Jones. These people are insane. And unfortunately, this is the kind of person that listens, that Donald Trump listens to. The President of the United States is a faithful viewer of Lou Dobbs and a faithful viewer of Alex Jones. Disaster. Okay. All right. One more story here. But we'll take a break before we get to that last story. It's infuriating, so be ready for that. Please send your tweets, ATN on TYT. Also, please consider subscribing to the show, to the channel, and also contributing via Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation. Also, stay right here. We'll be back after the break. Round the Nation. Welcome back to the show, Around the Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. Total subscribers. We have, drumroll, 87,275. A little short of our goal, but hey, thank you to all those who have subscribed. So we're going to keep pushing the subscriber drive. We're going to get there to 100,000, man. We're going to get there. Okay, anyway. We also have a super chat from Dajner. Hopefully I said your name right. Who says, I just finished my degree in marine engineering and technology management, so wanted to share my joy with you. You helped me through some of the tough times when frustrations ran high, so thank you. Well, thank you, Dashner. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that I could, bring a little, and I should say help you through some of those tough times. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm glad I share the joy with you as well. So congratulations. That is amazing. That is amazing. All right. So guys, send your stories or questions that you want me to talk about after this next story. So, do a little Q&A and we'll have a little fun. All right. First, disaster. A Dallas police officer is defending herself by claiming that she shot a 26-year-old named Botham Jean because he wouldn't follow her commands after she basically broke into his apartment. Now, the officer in question is Amber Geiger, who's 30 years old, and she's been a police officer for about 4 years. Now, she had entered Jean's apartment, first claiming she thought it was her own home, before fatally shooting him in his own home. Now, David Armstrong of the Texas Rangers wrote an arrest affidavit released on Monday, which has a few issues. So let me go and read what it says. Basically, they claim that Officer Geiger had said that it was completely dark inside the apartment when she entered it on Thursday night, and she thought she was encountering a burglar in her home. So he says that Geiger said the person had ignored her verbal commands, so she had fired twice. One struck Jean in the chest, and later he died. Well, so the question, so the issue here is, she barges into his home, and then she starts giving him commands. What are we supposed to be on her side? Somebody barges into your homes and says, get on your knees. Get on your knees. What are you doing here? I live here. I live here. What are you talking about? I live here. Insanity. No, look, there's been a lot of reporting on this that has been incredibly contradictory. So we're not sure exactly what the facts are 100%. But, for example, the AP has reported that Jean's door was slightly ajar. But that actually contradicted an earlier report that said that the door was locked. Lee Merritt, a lawyer for Mr. Jean's family, challenged several aspects of the officer's official account, including her claim that the door was open. He said witnesses had told the district attorney's office that they had heard banging on the door and a woman's voice saying, "Let me in." And they said that even if Officer Geiger did mistake the apartment, which has a distinctive red doormat outside, for her own, there is no indication that Mr. Jean acted aggressively to make the officer fear for her life. He said, "It would be irresponsible to rely on this extremely bizarre, self-serving affidavit, said Mr. Merritt, who was also questioned why the authorities did not immediately arrest Officer Geiger. Well, that is an interesting question. Why did she not get arrested? She shot and killed someone. Someone that was obviously not in her home, but in his own home. Why? Had it been anyone else in the same sort of situation, odds are they absolutely would have been arrested. But of course, this is a police officer. Now, again, something that you've noticed is how her story continues to change. So, again, there's a lot of confusion in this, right? First, she apparently thought that it was her place, and the door was locked. She kept trying to unlock it, couldn't unlock it, according to witnesses, and then there was the banging on the door. Let me in, let me in. But wait a minute. Who's she saying to let me in? If it's her apartment supposed to be empty, then why would she say let me in and then go in and then immediately shoot someone? This doesn't make any sense. And then the story changed. Now it's, oh, the door was unlocked. It was open. But wait, wouldn't she have remembered, oh, hey, I closed my door. I locked my door. And is there any way that somebody could get into it without the proper key? Like, would somebody break into it? And how could somebody break into the door without anybody else noticing, because it is an apartment complex? This is insane. And then, according to her account, she went into that apartment after the door was open, which is stupid. Because if you think that there's a burglar in your apartment, or if you think your apartment's been broken into, you maybe call someone. Oh, but she is the police. Yeah, but maybe call someone who's on duty, because you're supposed to be off duty. Again, this is insanity. But she then sees a silhouette. That's what she's claiming now. Oh, there was a dark silhouette, a big silhouette, and it was scary. And so I pulled my gun and I gave commands. And when he didn't follow my commands, I shot him dead. This is why I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this official account. I don't know what the facts are. The story keeps changing. But as far as what's going on, she is basically, and this is what's gross about this. She's saying it wasn't my fault. It was his fault. He didn't follow my commands. He was sitting chilling at home. You were trespassing in his apartment. How do you not know which is your apartment? How do you not know where your house is? I've never, and it doesn't matter how long I've worked, because there's the excuse of, oh, she's an overworked police officer. She was at work for 10 hours. She was tired. So she wandered into the wrong apartment and shot somebody who lived there. I mean, anybody would have made that mistake. No. I don't believe that at all. And look, it doesn't matter how tired I've been. It doesn't matter how much I've had to drink. I've never mistaken somebody else's house for my own or apartment for my own. I would be shocked if she were telling the truth, but I'm pretty sure, look, I think she made it up. We don't know yet. We don't know. Now, one more thing, according to witnesses, that is devastating. One witness said that she had heard a man's voice say, after the gunshots, quote, "Oh my God, why did you do that?" Why did you do... Assuming maybe, I don't know. Again, speculation here, right? Doesn't that sound like somebody that they knew? That he might have known? Like, why did you do that? Why did you do that to me? I don't know. All I know is that those seem like words of shock and horror. Oh my God, why did you do that? And those words, if true, might have been Jean's last words. Think about that. Minding your own business. When a cop busts into your apartment and murders you. Or worse, think about the other situation. Depending on what story's true. Jean lets her in because she's knocking on the door and saying, let me in, let me in. And then he does, and then he shoots her. Or, I'm sorry, she shoots him. That's an infinitely worse situation, and it's already a bad situation to begin with. It's a terrible situation. Because look, if the door wasn't open and she was pounding on it, she had to have known that it wasn't hers. If her key didn't work. Look, there's so much that doesn't add up. This is sounding more and more like a murder story. Again, I don't know. I don't know what happened. We're going to have to wait for the facts to come out. Personally, this is a real shady situation. And right now, Geiger, she has been indicted for manslaughter. She is now currently out on $300,000 bond. I'm sure there will be a trial announced soon. I don't know what's going to happen there, but hopefully we can find out the truth of what really happened. I'm interested to know. Okay. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right. So, we're done with the stories, but if you guys want to ask some questions in the live chat or on Twitter, now is the time to do it. So I'm going to read the comments here and wait for you guys to ask a little bit of a question. Now, as far as the last story that I had just talked about, murder. A lot of people are saying it's absolute murder. It's absolute murder. So I'm not going to say that definitively. It seems like it is, but I have to be careful about the facts, right? And, you know, my speculation is that's absolutely what happened. But again, there's a lot of things that we don't exactly know, and I don't want to say something now that turns out to be false later. So that's why I'm not saying definitively. Star Trek Day. Tia Wheeler asks, what did I do? I didn't really do anything, to be honest with you. I don't even remember what day that was. I was probably working. So, I'm not sure, though. Okay, more questions. Let me wait for some more questions here. I know this isn't directed towards me, but why do these things only happen in America? And that's a good rhetorical question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Police can do no wrong. In our culture, they are venerated, they are lifted up, at least by the white community. And so not only that, but we have a gun community, or I'm sorry, a gun culture, and we have fear. So much fear. Okay. So, Alicia Cranston asks, am I going to do the story on Monsanto and the poisoning of our food? I'm curious as to know how our government plans to respond to 97% of our food being poisoned. I haven't actually heard about that. So I'm going to need to look into that, because I heard about the Cheerios, some of the stuff being like in our cereal having cancer-causing materials. So ironically, that was after I had eaten a bowl of Cheerios, and I'm like, fuck. Get cancer now. Flint, Nature Boy asked, did Flint ever get clean water? No. It's still not clean. They estimate that it's going to take until 2020 to replace all the affected water pipes. So it's possible that people will still be having to rely on bottled water until that year. So that's for a while. So that's really, really sad. Shave or haircut? Tia asks. I don't go for haircuts. I just shave my head. I do it myself. And what happened with my beard is my razor. I have an electric razor that I use to thin out the beard when it gets too long and uncomfortable. Is it basically quit halfway through, and so I was like, oh shit, I can't go out like this, because it's like halfway thinned. So I just had to get rid of it because it broke, and then I had to go out and buy another shaver. So that's what happened there. And it's not right. It's not right. I can't wait to grow my beard out again, or my goatee at least. Mark asks, any more news about mass graves on U.S. military test sites? I haven't seen any. So, unfortunately, hopefully there's not, but I wouldn't be surprised. Any other questions? What are my opinions on the Washington State teacher strikes? I'm in favor of all teacher strikes. I think it's great that there are people, especially educators, that are tired of getting underpaid and getting their collective bargaining rights taken away. And they're actually striking. They're actually using their power. And they've learned from Oklahoma, and they've learned from the other states that have actually gotten concessions. These are red states. Oklahoma is a great example. Red states that, have cut their education budgets to the bone, like Kansas, for example, are finally getting fed up with taking money from education and putting it into plugging their budget holes that they made with giant tax cuts for the rich and for oil companies. They're tired of it, and they say, look, this is not conservative. This is not helping. This is hurting our kids. This is hurting our communities. So, hell yeah, we're going to strike. So I'm massively in favor. Do I know anyone in South or North Carolina? I actually do. I do know some people in North and South Carolina. Sartech asks. And I hope they're okay. That's all I can say is I hope they're able to either weather the storm or it doesn't impact them as much and all that. So, okay, I will, Alicia, I will look into that. Because, Ring of Fire does some good work. So, I enjoy. I don't get to watch a lot of it, but I don't get to watch a lot of different shows because I'm really busy working on this one. So I do try to catch the TYT main show, and see what's going on there. But I will look into it. So, okay, how do I feel about arming teachers? I don't like the idea. I think it's a bad idea. It's a terrible idea. Why are we going to give teachers guns? we don't have a problem with not enough guns. We have a problem with too much guns. Did I ever see the Walkout Video Factory in Indiana? No, I did not, Mark. Let's see. Speaking of tax cuts, does this not reek of the tax plan that Kansas did and failed? You talking about the new GOP tax plan? That's that would add $2.4 trillion to the deficit over 10 years. Yeah, and they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to try anyway. There are some establishment Republicans that are like, oh, $2.4 trillion, that's maybe too much of a tax cut. That's going to wreck our economy. But I guarantee most of those Republicans that are speaking out will vote for it. Of course. Stark Tech asks, have I heard of the Blue Dot in Texas? No, I have not. Arthur, we have a lack of 40,000 teachers in Germany. It's teacher scarcity. Wow. That is interesting. I wouldn't think that there would be a teacher crisis in Germany. You guys pay your teachers. At least better than we do here in America, as far as I know. I could be completely off base. I don't know. Okay. Guess who asks, how did I start ATN? It's an interesting question. So, to give you a little bit of a history, originally started a show called TYT Community. Started my own channel called TYT Community. The Young Turks actually saw it, and they're like, hey, why don't you just take that show and bring it over to TYT Nation and do it there? So I was like, okay, great. Yeah, I'll be part of the TYT network. So I did that for a couple of years, but I've always wanted to do something more solo. Something that was more just, me doing commentary instead of just moderating panels, which I enjoy. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy moderating panels, and I still do, from time to time. But somewhere around 2015, about 2016, I guess in the lead up to the Democratic primaries is when I started looking into doing Around the Nation. And so that's basically when I started. And it started doing more of podcast type of thing. And then I expanded it to doing online video. And so really I've been at this solo thing for about 3-ish years. And we are coming up on getting 100,000 subscribers. We are 13,000 something away. And so gonna keep pushing on that. Okay. Let's see. Some more. What does it mean when you try to become a patron and said you already have a Patreon for this account? I'm assuming you might be using an email. I've never had that issue, Bullwhip. So maybe you do already have an email address that's associated with your Patreon, but I would probably try to ask them, or maybe I'll ask them and see what's going on, and then give you instructions on that. So you'll have to private message me or something like that, and I'll figure out something something to do, how to fix that. Okay. Game Drifter 86 says, arm the teachers, but only during union negotiations. That's interesting. Interesting proposal. Okay, Xbox or PlayStation? PlayStation, Commander. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Will you be on the TYT app at some point? I have no idea. Probably not. My guess. Look, if you start seeing Kyle Kalinske, Secular Talk, and seeing some of the other network partners, then maybe I have a chance. But I don't think I will be on there until this channel gets much, much bigger. So we got to hit that 100,000 first. I think before we're even considered to be on some of those things. So let's see. Patch of grass. Oh yeah. Mark David asks, last summer you mentioned a patch of grass large enough to bury a car you didn't know you had to mow. Did you have it covered this year? That actually happened this summer. And yeah, I've been mowing it, so it's all good. It just takes forever to do. I have a little electric mower, so it lasts probably about an hour-ish. So I get like an hour of mowing out of it, and it gets a little more than, I guess, about 2/3 of that part of the yard. And then I have to go and recharge it. So it's like an all day thing. This is what happens when I try to be green. But, you know, battery technology, got to get a little bit better. But I'm still happy that I don't have to deal with gas or oil or anything like that, and the noise and all that. So, and the goddamn ripcord too. So, anyway. Any new games that I'm looking forward to, or if I ever going to stream Fortnite? I'm terrible at Fortnite, so I don't think I'd be very much fun to watch. But I'm actually looking forward to getting Spider-Man. So I've been reading some good reviews on that. I want to try it out. And of course, there's other games that I'm looking forward to. The one that I've been looking forward to for like the past feels like decade, and it's probably going to be a decade before it even comes out. It's the Final Fantasy VII reboot. So, or the remake. Definitely interested. Definitely interested in doing that. As far as other games, I don't know. WoW's keeping me pretty busy. So I just hit, 120 on my Demon Hunter. So, I'm just working on that, and I'm trying not to spend too much because I do not have a lot of money. Yes, batteries do suck regarding lawnmowers. That is true. Yep, very much so. Dragon Quest, I might have played that. I'm not entirely sure. Anthem, I've heard of it. I don't know. I was a little upset that they pulled their good team off working on Andromeda, Mass Effect, to go work on Anthem. I'm a little sore, but maybe I'll try it. Let's see. Fallout 76. So here's the thing. Fallout 76 is single player. Or not, I'm sorry, it's not single player. It's supposed to be like a multiplayer, but with 0 NPCs. So I don't know how that's going to work. Tomb Raider, nope. I haven't really gotten into that. Alicia with some interesting opinions on Final Fantasy 6. So 6 was the first one I had ever gotten into. So that is the first Final Fantasy Final Fantasy that I played. Then I played 7. 6 is a favorite of mine. And then later on I discovered 4, and 4 is pretty good as well. I agree with Kafka. There's nothing. There's no villain that quite matches up to a court jester that somehow takes over and destroys the world and becomes a god doing it. I'd say that's career goals. Good career goals on that. But anyway, yeah. Look, I played a lot of the series. 7, played 8, played 9, played 10. Got bored with 10 too. Like, I was like, what the hell? But maybe I'll go back and try it. Because, like, back when I played it, I was like, I don't really want to play Pretty Princess Dress Up. Now I realize that it sounds kind of sexist, and maybe I'll go back and give it another shot. 11 I played for years. 12 is good. 13 is... 13. I'm trying to get through it, but it's so hard. It is so hard to get through. 14, I also play, and 15, I accidentally beat it. Like, I didn't mean to do it. I meant to go through the open world, but I don't know. It's spoilers, right? So if you haven't played it, or if you plan on playing it and haven't yet, like, plug your ears. But I actually, through the story, I was like, okay, let me get some main story missions or quests done. And oh my God, I just ended up beating this game. Like 2 hours later. I was like, what the hell? What just happened? When am I going to go back to the open world? What? No. Ridiculous. But anyway, yes, I have played Final Fantasy IV. And it is good. What about Classic Doom? Yes, I played Classic Doom. Breath of the Wild. So I don't have like a Nintendo Switch. So I haven't had a Nintendo system since Nintendo 64. Am I related to the creator of the Waldorf salad? Absolutely not. So sad on that. Or else I could get some real royalties on that. Now, RB with a super chat. Keep up the good work, Jeff. Just get a long cord and mow with the charger attached. So can't actually do that because the charger is a complete separate thing. I would have to like tape it on, and it would be a mess. It would be sad, disaster. Not only that, but actually the battery goes into a little hatch compartment. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Sad. Persona 5, didn't play that. Kingdom Hearts 3. I haven't, yeah. So I played some of the Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, okay, it's good. It's good, I guess. I mean, I'm not, like, wildly fanning on it, but yeah, it's a decent game. So there you go. Any other questions that I'm reading here? I'm just trying to fire off as many answers as I can as soon as possible. So let's see. That's some nice stats. Let's see. Yeah, Mark, you're absolutely right. Actually, I do have 2 batteries, and one was the cheaper version, and it was incredibly expensive. Like, yeah, I actually do have because the mower came with 2 batteries. One's a normal big battery, the other's like a small battery, and I ended up buying a second big battery. So again, I get a little more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half at most. Okay. M. Ing asks, do you think Dems will try to split the progressive vote to try to get around the superdelegate ruling? You never know. You never know. Look, they fight dirty. They fight vicious against progressives. So we can see what happens. Old Trafford King says, could you wager a bet against Jay? It would depend. How much? Like, I could probably bet $5, and that was pretty much it. I do not make much money. I do not have much money. So if he's like anything over $20, I'm out. Too rich for my blood. Not gonna happen. So that's just me. Again, not the richest person around. I barely get by. Okay. Any more questions here? Let's see. Let's see if I can find some here. Apple or Android? What are my favorite apps? So I have an iPhone. But look, Android's not bad either. So right now, I think we're sticking with Apple's because we have Apple Play. So like Apple Music, I should say. And my wife and I are on like the family plan because my wife loves music. And she's like, oh, I can go and download and listen to as much music as I want. And so she's got her entire phone filled up with music, and then even more that she cannot download, but that she still listens to. So I'm like, all right, fine. We're just going to stay with Apple then, because we already have so much music on there. And then as far as apps go, I mean, I've got a few games, but I don't really have a lot of time to do it. Knights of the Old Republic is a good one. I'm surprised that came. So here's the thing. I remember playing original KOTOR on the PC. I was like, oh, this is great. And it's a great game. KOTOR 2, also good. And actually, was a lot more risky. And I wish it had come, like, fully fleshed out. Because there was a lot of stuff that was cut from KOTOR 2. But anyway, I'm just surprised that it can run so well on a phone. Like, games that we used to play on, like, PC or, like, have a dedicated console to, you can just play on your phone. It's crazy. It's technology, man. Guess who asked, have I always been a progressive? So, I think I always have been. I just didn't know it. And the reason that I say that is that for a long time, I wasn't politically active. So I started getting active around 2011, 2010, 2012. So within that period of time, I started getting a little bit more politically active and starting to realize my political identity. Before then, I've always been like, oh no, I'm in the middle. I'm a centrist. Can you believe that? I was like, oh, I'm a centrist. But I don't really know anything because I didn't know any of the issues. So I didn't know that there's, Medicare for all. I didn't know that there was, like, an idea for free college. I didn't know any of these things. So I didn't know what the policy positions were. And so, and back in high school, when I didn't know a damn thing, I was like, oh, Iraq, okay, that's fine. I didn't know anything. And I was deeply, deeply wrong and deeply embarrassed that I didn't know anything. So, back to this day, no idea. And so, yeah. You learn and you start to learn and you start to understand the things around you, and that really does help to form your political opinion. And that's what happened to me. I started getting more involved, and I started learning more things and seeing where the positions are. And, but even when I was younger, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, obviously people should get food stamps. People should get help from the government. What's the problem with that? I don't see an issue there. And of course, I never liked George W. Bush. I thought it was stupid that they were impeaching President Clinton, right? I was like, who cares? What's the big deal about that? But of course, I laughed at all the jokes that people made about that, especially Conan O'Brien. Hilarious. How old am I? I'm about to be 35 this month. Yikes. Yeah, our education system did fail us. Jup, that's correct. Because we didn't learn about that stuff. So there is so much that we didn't learn about. And you really find this out after college, or when you go to college, is that there's so much things that they don't teach you in school, in high school especially. So do we learn about, for example, how Native Americans are treated? No, absolutely not. We didn't learn about any of that stuff. We didn't learn about the Trail of Tears. We didn't learn about any of this stuff. So, it's you have to start like learning about things that they don't teach you in school, because they don't teach you how to think. They just teach you, like, this is how to follow instructions. Follow it to the letter. And I've always said before that our education system, as it currently stands, is teaching people how to basically exist in an economy that does not actually exist anymore. How to function in an economy that doesn't exist. So, yeah, I'm almost 35. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? And I'm still not successful. I have to really work on that. I look youthful because I don't give a fuck about anything. I'm kidding, of course. I actually care about a lot, but it takes a lot to stress me out. And so here's the thing. I don't stress out about things. Like, I get angry at the state of our politics of course. And that's why I do a show for an hour a day yelling at it, and explaining it and trying to change things. But in my home life, I don't let anything bother me anymore. I think that's the source of my youthfulness, is that I try to not stress out about things. That I try to not let things, like bad things, take over my life. And I try to have fun, and I try to relax, and I try to do these, things that, like, I guess it's hard to explain, but I'm just trying to be cool. I'm trying not to freak out, trying not to stress out, because stress will kill you. Stress will destroy you from the inside out. Anxiety will destroy you from the inside out. So I just try not to worry about things. And of course, I got things that I have to definitely worry about. But I try to just do the best that I can to not stress myself out. So that's what I try to. That's my secret, I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't have the ability to do that. JTVJ says, I'm 32 and I'm finding that I'm shaving off so many unnecessary cares for my brain. That's what you have to do. That's what you absolutely have to do. And the sooner that you realize that drama is not something to take personally, like, you can laugh at it. And that's the thing. I'm at it now, is where, I look at the drama in the White House, I laugh at it. You have to. Or else you would be extremely upset at just the destruction that is happening here in the White House, the destruction of our norms, the destruction of our, just what our political system is. So yeah, you can either laugh at it or let it destroy you, and I try to make sure that I laugh at it instead. Let's see. Am I a Libra? Yeah, I am. My birthday is on the 27th of this month, so that's when I'm going to be 35. So, Muta McGee asks, did I hear about the Asians suing colleges over affirmative action? I have not heard about that, so I'll have to look at that. My first computer was a Trash 80. Is that a real thing? My first computer was an old laptop my dad gave me from his work that barely ran the original Age of Empires. Yeah. The original Age of Empires. So, yeah, barely made the cutoff. I'm still a millennial. Is my wife politically active as you, and if I had her on the show? No. She has bad anxiety. So she has an anxiety disorder. So she cannot handle the politics. So she cannot deal with it. So she stays understandably away. And so that's why, we try not to have political discussions. I did get her to go out and vote for Bernie. She likes Bernie Sanders. She hates Trump. But that's as far as she'll get involved. It's just like, okay, who are the people that suck and who are the people that don't suck? Who believes in healthcare for everybody? Because that's what she believes in. She believes in healthcare for everybody. She believes in that everybody should get paid fairly, a living wage and things like that. And so I would say she's progressive on the issues, but she just cannot handle the stress of dealing with politics. And so, yeah, when it comes to stress, she's got too much to deal with to talk about the stuff that I do. And she gets very, very visibly angry. So let's see. I know there's another question in here that I might have missed. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Age of Empires. Yep. That was definitely game changing. Yep. Let's see. Did I ding 120? I actually did. So now I have to figure out how to do world quests. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Sarge Tech. I will remember. Give me a reminder. I'll give you a birthday shout out on the show on the 24th. Yeah, if only it were legal here, Martin. If only it were legal. Okay. Any more questions, though, in discussion here? I may have to wrap this up soon because I still got to edit the stuff and start putting up videos by like 5, and it's yikes. Getting close to the time where I have to really start working on it. Mark asks, do I smoke weed? I do not. Haven't done it I've never done it. So, let me tell you like the reason. I just don't smoke anything. So the reason for that is actually it went back to when my grandmother, had passed away. So she, was a smoker most of her life, smoking cigarettes, obviously, and ended up being put on an oxygen machine. And she obviously quit, but the damage was done, and she ended up dying from complications relating to her lungs. And so I was like, nah, not interested in smoking anything personally. So later on, of course, so here's my, I had an evolution. When I was back in high school, everybody around me smoked pot. Like, everybody. And I was like, I'm never going to do it. I'm not interested in doing it. I'm not interested in doing any of that. And then later on, I'm like, you know what? I don't care if people do it. But that's like after high school and after all that, I started being more liberal, on pot. I was like, you know what? It doesn't hurt anybody. Yeah, it smells bad, but I don't care. I don't care if you do it. And then, of course, I had more friends that were that would do it more. I was like, okay, so it doesn't harm anybody. And then, of course, I had a friend who was an alcoholic. So I immediately learned that, weed much better than alcohol. So I would rather have people around me that are high than people who are drunk. So that's the edibles. I'm actually willing to try that. Yes. I don't know what it'll do because it'll calm you down, but I'm already this super calm person. So what would it, I'm not sure what it would actually do for me. But if, for example, my wife's got, as I said, anxiety, right? She wanted to start taking edibles. To have at it. Great. Yeah. So if it makes you feel better, and there are studies that back that up that say that it does help people cope. And it is better than some of these prescription drugs. Have at it. I don't care what you do. And look, I got family that smokes pot. I got a brother-in-law that has Crohn's disease, and he deals with it by using cannabis, and he's even got a medical card. I think it's great. You do what helps you, and I think it should be decriminalized. I think it should be actually legalized here in Michigan, and not only all over the country, because it's none of my business what they do, what people do. So just do whatever. Okay. When did I start shaving my head? Dashner asks. I started doing it around age 29 due to both sides of my family being genetically disposed to male pattern baldness. I would say I'm pretty close. See, I've been married for about 7 years-ish. So I've been probably doing it for at least 5-6 years. Because, let's see. Let me think about this for a second. I know my wife was after I started shaving my head, because I know I was with her when I started doing it. She's like, you look infinitely better. You look so much better. shaving your head. She's like, I'm sorry, honey, but good God, I'm glad you started shaving your head. Because it was like, you can't really hide that. Like, you could start doing, like, when you start having to go and do the comb over, that's when you just got to shave it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try this, Donald Trump thing. And that's what it makes me think of, like, my God, if I had not started shaving my head, I would have looked like Donald Trump. Oh my God, no. Terrible. So I'm glad I didn't go in that direction. I'm glad I listened to her. And there were people telling me, you should probably do that beforehand. I was like, oh no, I still have hair. It'll be fine. It'll work out. I just have a high hairline. No. I didn't have a high hairline. I had a receding hairline that receded all the way back here. Gone. In high school, I had a bald spot back here. No. Not. I should have done it way earlier. So, disaster. Okay, so that's fun. All right, guys, I got to get going. I've got a lot of editing to do, but thank you for sticking around. Thank you for asking me some questions and letting me have a little bit of fun with the stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. I do want to do more of these because, again, I do enjoy doing this. And the reason that I don't is usually I'm either wiped out by the time the show's done, because I usually have a pretty long day, or I've got to, like, hurry up and get to the editing, which I'm totally going to be late on today. So I have to figure something out that works out a little bit better. Because I do enjoy doing these things, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So, all right, let me go here and do this one out. Okay. Yeah, it's hard not to delude yourself about your hairline. It's your hair. It's your hair. And you're like, no, don't I look good with hair? I want to keep my hair. I don't want to be bald. So, like, it's funny because, at age 30, like, everybody says, oh, no, you're going to be bald by age 30. I was like, no, never going to happen. Nope, it happened. So I turned out being blind, bald, and fat by before 30. And short. So I've lived every man's nightmare. But I'm actually pretty good. I have a good attitude about it, so that's what helps. All right. Anyway, thanks, guys. Oh, one more thing. Let me check this subscriber count here for TYT Nation. Anyway, subscriber drive. Subscribe, 100,000. We're going to hit it one of these days. 87,278 subscribers. So, guys, thank you so much for subscribing. Also, remember, patreon.com/TYTNation if you want to support me and help me grow this dang show. We can get 100,000 plus subscribers, and we can keep growing. We can get into a better studio. We can get better equipment. Maybe I can hire somebody. I can't wait to be able to actually do that, so we can actually put out maybe more stuff, more content, and better content, better quality. That's what I want to do for you guys. And that's what I try to do with your Patreon money every month. It's I got paid this month. I bought a camera, tripod, so I can go and do more field stuff. So that's what I've been using money for this month. So that's what helps me make the show. All right, guys. For real, I'm out of here. Thanks, guys. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Great show.